Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be having an interesting conversation this evening. We'll be looking at a topic entitled Strategies for Organizational Support During Economic Downturns. Our facilitator for tonight is Damilola Obidiran, and she is an HR practitioner and has quite a number of experience in terms of organization hands-on with respect to compensation and benefits. She's someone who I would call a thoroughbred compensation and benefit professional. Damilola secured a degree from Covenant University, where she studied psychology. Okay, she has worked in organizations including KPMG Nigeria, where she spent over 3 years, and in different roles, including staff analyst, reward specialist, experienced staff analyst, reward specialist, associate reward specialist, people and change. She also worked with ARM, Asset and Resource Management Holding Company, as a total rewards specialist. She has also worked with organizations like Accelerix, Global Accelerix, a fintech, and Oando, and oil and gas firm. She also is very, very proficient in other areas of human resource management. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let us leverage on all the emoticons, emojis we have access to receive with warmth our facilitator and speaker for tonight, Damilola Obidiran. You have the floor, please. Hello, Damilola. You need to unmute. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we are going to be talking today about something very critical. Every company really needs this, and every company is going to be using this going forward. Everyone is aware of the current situation that we're currently experiencing in Nigeria, and economic downtowns. Well, we as Christians, we choose to claim good things or right things, but right now we're currently faced with some amazing situations. So we have different strategies that we can apply to it. However, despite the fact that the economic downtowns, the goal of every HR person really is to make sure that the people that you're in charge of are really growing, they are definitely rewarded, and they feel comfortable. In Total Rewards, one of our key statements is that we practice Total Rewards to make sure that we attract and we retain the talents that we have. So if you attract talents and you cannot retain them, then there is a big problem somewhere. So it is crucial that we provide ourselves with different strategies to augment the situation that we're currently facing. Every company, irrespective of how big or how large their profits the previous year was, or in the last couple of years, every company right now is facing different kind of economic situations based on exchange rates and different things that we're currently facing. So, but for me, the first thing I would say is that communication and transparency is very, very key. And I'll cite an example. If you hire a talent and you bring them into the system, you onboard them, you bring them in, you make them feel comfortable, and at the end of the day, they begin to get information through the grapevine, which almost all the time always happens. There's always the grapevine. There's always somebody who has the history of the entire company and who wants to give information about what has been happening and what even the departments that they do not belong in, what is happening in one department and in the other department. If you cannot create a system that maintains an open communication to your employees, there really is going to be an issue. And irrespective of what we are currently dealing with, it will be good for your company or whichever company that we belong to be able to say, employees, this is currently what we are dealing with. This is where we are. Sometimes management has issued in declaring, especially for companies that are not public companies, PLCs. Of course, financial statement, financial reports is obviously not open to everybody. It's not something I can go to the Nigerian Stock Exchange site to get. So of course, somebody has to be able to declare that. But if you can be open to your employees to have like a quarterly update saying that, okay, this is where we are based on our target for this year. This is what we have currently achieved, Q1, Q2, Q3. A lot of companies don't do that. They may do that for the sales department, but they don't do that for all the employees within the company, even the contract staff. They need to be aware, because if people do not understand that or do not see the impact of their performance, they are not able to also track their performance as a department and as individuals. So to make everybody know what the current situation of the company, economic situation of the company is, or how the economy is actually impacting the business. I call it the business side of every organization. Everybody should be aware. Everybody should be able to say that my company has currently not met its target, or we've met only 50% or 40% of our targets. As a department, a lot of companies have a lot of departments that the numbers apply to. As a department, you should be able to say that these are the figures, and this is where we currently are, and this is how much we still have to do. And so with that, they are able to measure expectation. They are able to say that, okay, because of where we currently are, this is the expectation that we have in terms of our pay, in terms of the rewards that we're going to get, in terms of the kind of benefits that we're going to have. As a compensation and benefits specialist, you find out that people typically just expect pay upgrade. Somebody always just expects pay upgrade. Sometimes when they've not even performed so great, sometimes they performed fairly, but there's still that expectation for pay upgrade. And you're wondering, what's the parameter? What's the basis for you to expect a pay upgrade? So yes, everybody is feeling it. Everybody is having their experiences, but irrespective of that, sometimes automatically expecting a pay upgrade may not really help anybody. So communication, transparency, an email from the MD, an email from the EDs, the heads of different departments, meeting with their team members, talking about the current economic situation, talking about the impact on the business. Now, one thing you have to also be able to communicate to your management is saying that, see, don't go about communicating to say, you should not expect pay upgrade, or you should not expect bonus next year. Rather, be optimistic and positive in your approach. But everybody should be aware. Everybody should know where they are. Everybody should know the business side of whatever organization that you belong to. Yes, so the next point I'm talking about will be flexible work arrangements and remote work, implementing remote work and supporting remote work for employees. COVID helped everybody, opened everybody's eyes. To be honest, I think I was one of the happiest people when COVID happened. And the reason being that while working with KPMG, one of the conversations we have with HR professionals all the time is that remote work is possible. And then it began to look like only the fintech guys can actually implement remote work. And, HR professionals then used to be like, employees are lazy, employees don't want to work, remote work can't work. Then there are conversations around, these are kind of business, these are kind of units, we can actually work remotely, remote work does not apply to us, it's not of any use. The truth of the matter is COVID has opened our eyes and we can see. And if speaking with a lot of companies or having conversations with other colleagues, you find out that remote work has also helped to drop the financial implication of running a company or a business facility for different companies in Nigeria. Everybody knows how much diesel is, everybody knows how much fuel is. And then, when we even go back to work at some point, a lot of companies began to say that, 5 o'clock on the dot, everybody leave the building. We are going to shut down all the systems because we need to manage diesel. So you need to be able to implement remote work. Now, I know that a lot of companies have come back. I mean, Zoom has come back to say everybody should go back to office. Meta has come to say everybody should go back to the office. And a lot of big tech companies that we're using as examples, they've come back to say we need to go back to the office. However, I believe a flexible or a hybrid system would really help. And looking at the fact that one of the major implications in overhead costs for different organizations, which is fuel, that nobody can do without. Of course, lights or PHTN is not reliable. We're finding out that we actually might have to go back to remote work. And now, so this is the interesting part of going back to remote work. You would definitely still have some cost implication, but I believe that the cost implication would be a lot better. It would help you a lot compared to if you have to run diesel all the time when you're having all your employees fully on ground. I know it's a difficult conversation to have. I've been in situations where we've had to have that conversation with management, and management is like, our performance is poor, so it's better I see everybody right here. And I've had to work with managers who say that, see, I prefer to see everybody right here. I prefer to see you in the office to really know that you are working. I've had situations where people are like, when you're working from home, I don't trust the fact that you're actually doing the necessary work. Some people say, oh yeah, it's fine, you're delivering, fine and good. But some people are like, I don't really think you are going to deliver, even when you are making efforts to make sure that you deliver. But I think it's a critical aspect of conversation that we need to have, and which is why we're saying, how about hybrid? How about maintaining the hybrid system that a lot of companies actually are already applying? Number one. Number two is that it's going to reduce the commute time, the commute cost for different employees, and they will feel more relaxed. And if you can put in that faith in them to say, I'm giving you this leverage. If you mess it up now, it's left to you. Then another thing we can look at, it will be also reduced number of hours of work. So how about we saying that we work 9 to 3 every day? How about we saying that we work 8 to 3 p.m.? You know, people get to leave on time. They get to not spend time in traffic. They get to not burn their fuel in traffic for those that are driving. And, you know, they also get to get home early to do other things. So creating that sense of balance will also be very key. Support for remote work. I will talk about training the managers. In my experience, one of the things that I see that the mistakes that we HR professionals make is that we baby our employees, and most importantly, we baby our managers. And so our managers do not, when I talk of managers, I'm talking of line managers. So line managers naturally feel that it is the responsibility of HR to monitor their team members. It is not HR's responsibility to monitor team members. It's not HR's responsibility to check on team members from time to time. Rather, it is the line manager's responsibility. So how about ensuring that if you want to introduce remote work or hybrid system or reduced hours of work, how about ensuring that you do a proper training? You can do the training in tranches, do the training in series, just to make sure that people are actually, they have understanding. So the line manager is fully aware of their responsibilities in maintaining the remote work and seeing that there is actually productivity and performance is not dropping in any way. And also the employee also understands. Are we getting what I'm saying? Because you cannot keep babying line managers to make sure that, I'm not going to leave what I'm doing to check on I will check on your team member, maybe because I'm HR, but it is not my direct responsibility to actually check to be sure that you're actually doing the work. The line managers have that responsibility and they should be trained. One of the things we found out is that a lot of them actually don't have an understanding. They are not trained to actually know that they should monitor their team members. They should check on their productivity level. They should check on their performance level and see how they can actually, in fact, within the same team, you can have 3 different people that are managing in 3 different ways or with 3 different strategies of remote work. So it's very important that you actually apply that. Okay, so we're going to move to the next point. Yes, so I'm going to talk a lot about this. which is the employee assistance program. I would like, with a show of hands, if we can talk about, if people can raise up their hands to talk about, to maybe mention the fact that they've heard of employee EAPs before now, if you've ever heard of that statement, or you've maybe ever used that particular system before, or that program before. Just a show of hands to just identify. How many people have heard of EAP before now? How many people have used EAP before now? Okay, somebody's raising their hand. Okay, wow, only 2 people. This is very interesting. So the rest of us, we've not heard of EAPs before. We've not had to use EAPs before now. Okay.
The rest are not just responding.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Okay, okay.
Maybe they are not just responding.
Maybe they are just not responding. Okay, that's very fine. All right. So EAPs are a very critical aspect of HR. And the reason I would say that they are a critical aspect of HR is because the system that we currently run in the country, I mean, COVID has really helped us, and which is to bring mental health to the fore to people. It has really brought awareness to mental health. And I can say this: 5 years ago, we did not have so much awareness or understanding of mental health. In fact, a lot of people will tell you that Nigerians will not commit suicide because we have strong mindsets. I mean, our cultural prejudices have helped to curb us in different ways in curbing the effect of mental health. But I don't really think it curbs the effect of mental health. It has just only made us to hide the effect of mental health, and people have just moved on with life. Gen Zs have come to also help us make it clear that you don't care about mental health, I don't care about you, and I'm not going to work for you. If I work for you and I find out that you don't care about mental health, I'm already on my way out. So it's very important that as an HR person, you actually are bringing to fore with your organization EAPs. Now, to some management employees, it may seem like, what's this? What are you talking about? But I can assure you that it's actually very important and very necessary. A lot of HMO plans that we use, they partner with EAPs. They partner with a lot of EAPs, employee assistance programs. They already do that. They partner with maybe 1 or 2 of them. So you have options. So I would suggest that you actually work a lot with your HMO provider to say that what are the EAP options. And this is also something else you need to, when you are negotiating for HMO for 2024, starting your new onboarding of the different HMOs. It's a critical question to ask, and it's a critical service offering to request for, because EAPs would help you to curb the effect of mental health issues. The truth of the matter is, a lot of people who have performance issues, a lot of people who have basically performance issues, somehow, one way or the other, is linked to mental health. And looking at what we are currently dealing with, people are dealing with anxiety, people have increased anxiety, looking at the fact that they have financial implications, and it looks like they are not meeting up. I had a conversation with someone, and the person was like, they converted a certain amount of money, and it yielded to almost nothing. And I'm wondering, this exchange rates, when people are kids, we're going to put our kids in school, whether we like it or not, we're going to show up at work, whether we like it or not, we're going to eat. So it's very, very important that we actually settle this aspect. People overlook it, but it's actually not something we should overlook. So you can access your EAPs through your HMOs. Another way is that there's actually a Nigerian employee assistance program, or employee assistance association, that you can actually reach out to ask for help. And another thing would be that I remember there was a situation in HP in Nigeria, that was maybe 7-8 years ago. And I know of somebody who was actually hired to provide employee assistance program offering to that particular company. And the goal was just to make sure that The person shows up maybe twice a week for a couple of weeks, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And the idea was they lost some of there was a particular plane crash that happened that time. I can't remember the plane crash, but I mean, it was just a matter of they lost some of their colleagues in that particular plane crash, and it was just a matter of show up at the office, and we'll give you an office space. We'll just give you a space. Of course, confidentiality is very key, which is what you are going to sell to your employees. Employees love confidentiality. Though they don't trust HR, but they love confidentiality, which is why it will be good to have an external body, somebody external completely handling that situation for the organization, and just show up in the office, and employees can walk in at any time to have a conversation and share burdens. And from there, conversations about their personal life, conversations about their career, conversations about their performance started coming up. Of course, HR is not supposed to ask for what did you discuss with this person. HR has done their job by providing this service provider or this program to the employees. So you have to promote EAPs. Another thing I will talk about would also be, it could just be a quote. It could be an interesting quote. It could be something very nice. I know some companies do Monday motivation. I know a couple of companies who do that. Monday motivation, a quote to cheer people up, shows up. Just a screensaver, just work with the IT team, let a screensaver pop up to say that if you have challenges, you can reach out to so, you want to talk about it. And you can even go a step further by building your mental health awareness program as HR as well, helping people to understand the importance of having people to talk to, experts or professionals to actually talk to, so that they can share what they are dealing with. A lot of challenges that people face, a lot of them you're not going to be able to solve. A lot of them you're not going to be able to deal with. So it will be very important that we actually do that. I'm sure we would have time for questions and contributions. Yes, so skill development and training. Skill development and training. Now is a good time to invest in your employees. Now is a good time to help your employees to reskill, to upskill. Now is a good time to make them add extra skills. For example, some persons are going to resign. I mean, some persons have not. They have only just relocated so far. But in the next 1 month, they will drop their letter. They will tell you that, oh, I took leave, but I'm currently in the UK, so I'm resigning. Now I'm currently in Canada, so I'm resigning. But one of the issues, if you work with talent acquisition, there are lots of people to hire. There are lots of people, but the key question is, how relevant are their skills? How relevant are their skills and their training to what you really want? Are they fully suited to what you need in your organization? If you do interviews, sometimes you interview people and you find out that, oh, this person really does not have what we need. I mean, they probably just have 1/5% of what we actually need in our organization. So you need to be able to now say that, how am I going to deal with this? And the other aspect of being in talent acquisition is that you probably have you could probably put people through the onboarding process. And at the end of the day, going through the onboarding process in 6 months, in 5 months, in less than a year, let's just sum it, in a year, less than a year, they said that they are going and they are not doing again. So how do you actually handle that? One of the basic or the easiest ways to do that is help your current employees to upskill. Help your current employees to reskill. So there are certain skills that they can pick up so that they can actually double up. Now, I am not talking about taking advantage of people to make them double up and then you're not rewarding them one way or the other. No, I'm actually talking about helping people to grow, take up responsibilities on a role. You can split one role, you can split the responsibilities across 3 or 4 different persons so that one person is not choked up on the work. So it's very important that you actually do that. And it also helps to build growth because, number one, you already have this employee within the system who has imbibed the core values of the company. They've grown, they've learned, so they're already part of the system. So it saves you the time, the energy to having to bring somebody in, and in 6 months, 1 year, you're having to retrain the person, put the person through, try to help the person align with the company or the strategies or the core values of the company. So it's really just saves everybody a lot of stress to do that. Okay. Yes, so a very critical conversation, which is cost management and compensation adjustments. One of the things I would say is that as much as we're going to apply cost management and compensation adjustments to the different situations that we have, because a lot of the things I'm saying right now, every single one may not apply to your company, because your company is in a different sector, a different industry. Your company is young. Some companies are 5 years old, some companies are 10, some companies are 20, some companies are 15 years old, some companies are 100 years old. So different companies, different strategies will apply. But most times, cost management, compensation adjustments, of course, they also apply in different ways because of the industry that you operate in. Some industries, you have this union, you have union to deal with. So you cannot just cut people's salary. You can't just reduce people's salary. You can't even just say you want to just adjust anyhow. Even if you want to do increase, you can't just do increase anyhow. There's a system, there's a procedure to follow. So how you're going to apply this strategy would differ because of the industry that you currently operate in. So one of the things I would say, and this is some of the things that we learned during COVID, is that layoffs do not necessarily have to be the answer to your problem. COVID happened, companies were afraid, and some companies were not in operation, and they laid off a lot of staff. And then in 1 year, people bounced back. In a year, people bounce back in 1.5 years. Some people bounce back in 6 months after COVID happened. I mean, after all the major lockdowns. And then you ask yourself, they now have to start recruiting and rehiring people that they actually, for roles that they had actually let go before. So layoffs do not necessarily have to be your strategy. Some companies, what they did was they did not implement layoffs. But of course, the number one strategy that they used in their cost management or cost adjustment strategy was communication. If you can communicate appropriately, communicate extensively with your employees, helping them to realize that this is where the company is. To be very honest with you, a lot of employees don't want to be out of work. So they're actually going to listen to you and hear you. Do we get what we're saying? It's actually going to, if you can be explicit in your explanations, help them to see the business side of the organization, that this is where we currently are. Now, your cost compensation or your cost management strategies would actually work. And you can look at temporary salary reductions. Now, temporary salary reductions vary. So, and then it also varies based on the roles and, of course, the industry that you're operating in. Some roles are already contract roles. Some roles are already are full-time. So you may be looking at, okay, am I going to look at a cost reduction of a 5% or a 10%? Or am I going to span it over time? There are different strategies you can actually make use of. You can actually graduate your reduction. I remember that during COVID, I worked with a particular company, and that company, one of the major strategies, they were in the oil servicing industry. And one of the major strategies they did was that it was a gradual process. They did not just reduce people's salary. They did not just slash it. So the first month, it was just maybe like a 2 or 3%. The next month, they did like a 5 to 10%. And then another thing they did was for the senior management, the cost, the salary reduction was they had more than the people at the lower levels. So for senior management, if they are doing 10% salary reduction for junior management, supervisory entry roles, supervisory roles, entry management roles, they're probably doing like a 2 to 5% for those particular roles. So you can cascade it based on the grade levels. You can cascade it in a matter of months to space it. So this month, you know that, okay, I'm getting a 2% reduction. Next month, I'm going to be getting like maybe a 5% reduction. in another 6 months, I'm getting. So just to help people augment, just to help people build their strategies as well. Because whether we like it or not, every person is also a company on his own, and they have to plan for themselves. Then another thing is, how about reducing the work week? Yes, some of these strategies may not be conventional per se. They may not be things that we are used to. It may seem like this thing is more prevalent abroad. We have more companies that are doing this abroad. One of the things I have learned recently is that a lot of companies are actually pioneering a lot of things in Nigeria, and it's working. It's really working. For example, I heard Sterling Bank, currently they have opportunity for their employees to actually have side hustles. So you can actually run your side hustles. So you can openly declare that, so I'm a fashion designer, I sell shoes, I sell bags, just to help people augment. So because the reality of things is, a lot of companies have policies to say that you can't sell your personal product, or you can't sell this within the organization. How about creating policies and adjusting your policies to say that, to provide, because second stream of income, whether we like it or not, some of us, a lot of the people on this call, if you don't have a second stream of income, it's almost rare. People already have like multiple streams of income. So how about, and that's a financial strategy that people are using to cope. So how about implementing that and bringing that into the system or the policy of the company, just to help people augment the financial situations that they're dealing with. So if you are going to bring your work week to a four-day work week, Monday to Thursday or Tuesday to Friday, just like I said, it's applicable to different industries. The industry you work with, you have to, of course, align and see and check to be sure that, oh, this actually works for the industry that I belong to. So then you can also look at unpaid leave. You can tell people to, if the financial situation of the company is very drastic, I mean, the situation is really drastic, you can tell people to, you know what, which happened during COVID. People went on 1 month, 2 months, 3 months leave, and you're explaining to them to say that I can't pay you at this time, at this point in time. Then fair compensation adjustments. You can make adjustments to your pay structure to say that, okay, I'm sure a lot of people here, your for the company that you work with, I don't know how much, but people have salary bands, they have grade levels, and you have different bands within that grade level. So how about making sure that you actually bring people to like the lowest grade band so far on that particular grade level, and helping people and making sure that your pay upgrade or moving people from band to band is strictly based on performance. For example, you can define it. Let's assume that you have a performance rating of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, and you're saying that if you are if your performance rating for this half year or for this financial year, your overall performance rating is a 3, this is the band we're bringing everybody to. If your overall performance rating is a 4, this is the band level that we're bringing everybody on 4 to. If your overall performance rating is a 5, this is the band that we're bringing everybody to. So I'm not performing on a 4 in HR, somebody else is an admin and they're performing on maybe a 4, and then somehow the salary is still higher than my salary. We're not on the same pay band, or we're even on maybe the same different grade levels. So bringing uniformity to your pay structure and your pay bands would actually help, and it will help you reduce costs. So you're not having outliers on different grade levels and they're wondering what's going on. So that would actually be very interesting to have. I'm still going to share some more things on this particular point. Yes. So employee engagement morale, that's very important and very critical. Maintaining a positive work culture. Sometimes we have that challenge, and just like I said, it lies more with line managers. As much as HR is going to push the initiatives and push the strategies, you actually have to find a way of pushing your line managers. You have to, because I was reading a post recently, and it's a matter of people are leaving organizations, not because organizations are not good or they're not great or they don't have a great value system. And sometimes they just leave because of the line managers. They leave because of the team that they are working with. So you have to be able to work with line managers to create that positive culture, positive environment. And then creating a system where people can actually come to report, to talk about the issues that they are actually dealing with without stigmatization. You know, you have to find that balance one way or the other. Now, this strategies may be a bit interesting with a one-man business, a sole proprietorship. You may have challenges actually dealing with this kind of system, but I believe that with HR being neutral in all of these things and pushing out the right strategies, virtual team bonding, hangouts that is just maybe a bottle of drink and meat pie. You know, you don't have to go overboard. Just something, create an avenue for people to relax and laugh. Sometimes some hangouts is just a cake. It's just one big cake that you have bought, and when that cake ends, everybody's fine and good. Yeah, we're all moving on. So if you are creating that kind of a system, team bondings, help teams, give them a budget, tell them that work with the budget that we've provided with you. You even find out that some teams will even tell you that, okay, HR has given us so amount, or the company has given us so amount. How about we contribute by ourselves and create something? Give them a day, give them one Friday every month to have TGIF. You know, yeah, there's always going to be work. The work is not going to actually reduce, but ensuring that you do those things, then encouraging people on how they handle their team members, on how team members are being worked with is very important, because if you tolerate it, it's like I always say, creating a precedence is all you need. If you create one precedence, forget it. People will follow suit. Sometimes it may take them time to follow suit, but they will follow suit. And all you just need is somebody doing something, and you probably turn the blind eye, or you just looked the other way, and you're not creating. So, but if you create one precedence, people know where you currently are, and they know what you are working with. So it's very important. Then health and well-being initiatives. So one of the things we've also found out, while one of my jobs before as a compensation and benefit specialist is to work with companies. I've worked with companies across different industries where we've interacted with them to talk about their service offerings, their pay offerings or their rewards offerings, recognition strategy, HMO provisions that you make. Sometimes you find out that the kind of HMOs that are being provided to employees really do not help. And this is what I would say. I worked with a particular company, and one of the things we suggested to them is a pay mix. And this is what we're looking at. We're looking at the fact that you have 150 employees. Of that 150 employees, how many of them are in their 20s? How many of them are in their 30s? How many of them are in their 40s, their 50s, and so on? You batch them, you find it, you identify the different generations that they actually belong to. If you have more of your employees who are in their 30s, in their 40s, you probably have a lot of people who are just starting out their family. They actually have pregnant wives, or they themselves are pregnant. They have babies, they have young children. If you have a lot of your employees who are if you have employees within 40s and 50s, it means you're having people who have children in university, and it means that you have people who they're in university, they probably have even done with uni, they are young professionals themselves. So one of the things you have to do is to be able to say what benefit offering applies to these different generations that exist in my organization, and which one will appeal to them more. For example, people who are in their 30s, in their 40s, they actually have 8 parents. They have parents who are aged. They probably people that are aged, they don't need they don't need anything. They won't tell you that they are sick. You can just get a call to say that they were rushing somebody to the hospital. We need to get this, we need to get that. Now, how are you going to be offering a service or a service or a benefit to these employees to augment the financial implications that they are currently facing in their life? People who have children in university, in secondary school, primary school, even in crèche, what strategies are you using? You can actually plan with a crèche to say you don't necessarily have to build a crèche within your organization if you don't have the physical facilities to handle that. How about partnering with a crèche to say that my employees are going to bring their children to you, like the people who have children within this age group, and we're going to augment the crèche facilities that you are providing to them for the first 1 year of that baby's life, or the first 7 to 8 months of that baby's life. How about augmenting the financial burden that they are going to be facing? So how about that? How about providing services that the health offerings? I always say that for HMO, it's not something you should think twice about. You actually should provide the maximum HMO for your employees. The reason being that if anything is happening, if somebody has 4 children and he has to take care of 4 children, and they, God forbid, 4 children have to be admitted, do you know, most likely, number one, the first thing the employee is thinking of is not your work, it's not their performance, it's how they're going to get their kids out of the hospital. But some people provide HMOs that are not up to par. So when we're negotiating HMO, is very important. It's not just a process you just go through and get over with. No, you actually have to negotiate extensively. Even though the HMOs are a bit interesting too sometimes, but negotiating extensively with your HMO provider to say that this is what we're actually offering. It's very, very important. Then support for physical and mental health. Sometimes under HMOs, you have to be very detailed about the kind of service offerings, the physiotherapy that they have. You know, a lot of people, just because they are sitting at a desk, they actually have to go to physiotherapy, not because they broke their leg or they broke their hand or something. So, and then creating awareness about this peculiar service offerings that you have negotiated for them. There's telemedicine, which is very great. I've accessed it several times and it really makes life very interesting for you. So build it could just be a screensaver, just a pop-up screensaver to say that you actually can access telemedicine. Now, I'm not saying that everybody is going to access it. No, I'm not saying that 50% of your employees will access it, but at least the people who are accessing it is there, is available for them. All right, so we're going to move on. Talent retention, key talents, retaining key talents. I think I had already talked about this, and it is about making sure that, okay, we've talked about onboarding, we've talked about bringing people in and making sure that the system that they come into, it really does help. But one of the things I can say is that, of course, the onboarding process for an employee is very important and is very key to retaining them, to making sure that they stay. But then what other incentives are you offering? And the incentives, definitely, they come under the HMO that you're offering. What's the HMO you're offering? Is it better than the next company's own? Or how much benefits do you actually offer to your employees? So the different benefit strategies that you're actually making use of will really help. So also do that. Then another thing is identifying the career paths. If somebody joins an organization, and I think HR has really just started. If somebody joins an organization and they cannot identify the career path or the career growth that they are going to experience in joining this organization, the truth of the matter is they will use it as a stepping stone for next. So you have to be able to identify, you have to be able to make it clear. So it's not a matter of you hire somebody. So sometimes even during recruitment, you should be able to engage employees to say that, or potential employees to say that, this is the career path, these are the career opportunities you would have. If career opportunity, if they can come in form of upskilling and reskilling of your employees, if you are offering those things to them, it should really be very critical. So let them know that, okay, this is how many years I need to spend to get promoted. This is what I need to do. Their key objectives, their key goals, they're already identified, fully identified. Nothing is being hidden and there is no form of sketchiness. Those things are clearly defined. And so, and then another thing is, see, your current employees are your biggest marketers. If your current employees cannot market the organization, then there's a big issue. There will always be dissatisfaction. People will never be satisfied. It's a natural human law. But there has to be some level of marketing that your current employees should be able to do for you, for new employees. Then conducting stay interviews. We've heard this over and over again. Doing stay interviews for employees to be able to know the people who are staying, why are they staying? In fact, why exactly are you still here? There are different templates that we can make use of. Just finding out what people really, what makes your company or your organization interesting to them. And if it's not interesting to them, what will make it interesting to them? What will make them stay? What will actually help? Because employees are the bane of everything that we do in HR. So whether we like it or not. Then legal compliance. I'm sure some of us have seen flyers or info links have gone around. You probably come across them where PENCOM is saying that every organization that has not paid or that is owing their employee pension one way or the other 1 month, they don't want to know. Just make sure that you have rectified those issues before 31st of December. So if you currently work in an organization and you don't know about that, you actually, something that you should pay very close attention to. Owing your employees pension, owing them NHF, that's the National Housing Fund, is not going to help your organization. It's not going to help with EVPs. For example, some of this pension NHF, there are already benefits attached to it. People can access loans in different ways, in different quantities, in different degrees. In fact, people can request for their refund from NHF. All of these things, there are benefits that employees should enjoy. But sometimes when we are not aligning with these rules and these regulations, they backfire, and they backfire for the employee. So you're not making life easy for both yourself and the employee. And then if you are also, as a company and as an organization, all of this, everybody knows the kind of president that we have. Every money, every dime, every quarter, everything matters. So if you want to wait to be fined for tax evasion or for non-compliance of not paying your tax on time, or you want to be fined for not paying ITF funds on time, or you want to be fined for not remitting NSITF or NHF or your pension on time, then that's another reduction of cost for the organization. Because whether we like it or not, employees are not the only ones who are supposed to enjoy for the current economic downturn. Organizations also have to be able to enjoy some level of satisfaction from this. So if you are not complying legally within your HR team with the different strategies or the laws and regulations, definitely a fine is coming, and most times it's very huge. So it will not help anybody. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next strategy: continuous feedback and adaptation. You cannot have enough surveys. Employees sometimes complain that, HR has too many surveys for some companies. You are doing this survey, that you should have every form of survey, every service offering, every benefit offering. In fact, you should have a compensation survey. You should go ahead and have HMO survey, deploy them. Sometimes you can just make them brief so that people can actually respond to them. But you should have every form of survey to know where the pain points of your employees really are, and the way the organization is going to be able to change or make adjustments. Then adapt HR strategies. Be willing to adapt. These changes, they will always, there's no how. You will always have to make adjustments. One strategy cannot fit everything. And most times you try strategy A in 2023, it worked. That same strategy may not work for your organization in 2024. So you have to always be on the lookout, applying different strategies and making adjustments to your strategy. You tried one strategy, there was a level of progress. You want to increase another degree of progress. You also have to look at how you're going to adjust your strategy to actually adapt to that. All right. So right now we're going to be looking at real world examples of HR strategies during economic downtowns. So in 2008 was when the US had their biggest depression. I mean, I think that's the most recent depression that they've experienced. That was when Obama came in. And IBM during the 2008 financial crisis implemented a workforce rebalancing strategy, offering voluntary retirement packages to reduce layoff. So that's to say that they were actually offering, you can actually say that I can pick up my retirement package now. I can actually access it now. So I don't necessarily have to wait till the end. And then also you could actually, what's it called now? You could also tell people that if you don't want to contribute this much, if you want to get your money, your cash handy now, you can actually do that. So those are some of the strategies that you can use. However, for some of for Nigeria, our retirement package, of course, we have statutory laws, but some companies actually contribute more than what is required. So typically, we're all expected, every company is expected to remit 18% of basic housing and transport. Some companies currently do more than 18%. That is 8% employee, 10% employer. So some companies already do more than that. So, and you can also, part of your strategy could be that, why don't we increase the retirement package for our employees? And I hope you people will hire compensation specialists again after this session. Why don't you increase the retirement package of your employees? Tell the company to, and then make part of it accessible for people. And then you can also say that since we're already contributing a lot more, why don't you say that people can actually get access to, or access the extra that they are getting? They can access that freely without having been backed by the law. So another example would be Starbucks. During COVID-19, they committed to paying all US employees for 30 days, even during store closures. They provided mental health resources and support through the employee assistance program. The truth of the matter is, people are going through a lot of things, a lot. And you really do not want to imagine. You yourself, you are going through so much. So you can imagine somebody who does not make more than 30,000 naira a month and has 5 children. That's going to be very interesting. So mental health, EAPs, they are not something we should overlook. They're actually something we should embrace. Mental health resources, just get a psychologist, hire somebody, and pay them some form of honorarium or whatever it is you want to do, and get people to work in there. There's some level of privacy that is created because people like their privacy. And then you don't even need to bring them on ground. There's telemedicine. People can actually call in. You can get a psychologist for the organization, 2 or 3 of them, and you can pay them based on the number of employees that they actually see, and let them call people on phone. Let there be conversations going on. Can create a toll-free line for them to make things very easy for employees, because the truth of the matter is, people need someone to talk to. These are very trying times that people are experiencing. And so if you are augmenting, but just like I said before, you also have to put in some level of awareness, because our cultural prejudices will stand in your way. But then there are people who will definitely access these things. So we really need to embrace that. Then GM, General Motors, and the United Auto Workers agreement, they negotiated a labor agreement allowing buyouts and early retirement packages to reduce the workforce without widespread layoff. So yes, that's another thing. If it has gotten to the point where you have to lay off employees, you can offer them early retirement. I know of somebody in 2020. She's a very senior person, and her organization just chose not to lay her off. But then, of course, later on they had to offer an early retirement to say, you can actually retire and we'll pay you. So because when you lay off somebody and when you retire somebody, the access to the benefits that they have, they're different. When you're retiring somebody, if there is gratuity and other things that the organization provides, those things, they have access to that. But when you're laying off somebody, you most likely will provide all of those to them. So it's also even helps them when they're trying to get a job or when they're trying to fit into another organization. Yes, Then Google's investment in employee well-being. Google also, they provided additional paid sick leave and a wellness day. I understand that Sterling Bank has also implemented that. They have a mental health day. So in Sterling Bank, if you need a mental health day, you actually can apply for that and get that. So today I've woken up. Sometimes we make these things sound like some companies are trying to sound woke, or they're trying to sound like Gen Z. To be very honest with you, it's not a Gen Z matter. It's something that applies to all of us. It's something that we all need. So having maybe 5 mental health days, and you can access 5 mental health days in a year, in a financial year, that will be very helpful. People are looking into benefits that suit more women. If you work in an organization that is predominantly male, you want to be able to provide service offerings or benefits that apply to, that also assist women, increase the maternity leave to help augment the stress that women get experience when they're coming back. Or you could also, the menstrual cycle leave could also be provided. There are companies in Nigeria, Unilever currently offers that, so you might want to look into that. Then Southwest Airlines, no layoff policies. So they avoided layoffs by offering voluntary leave, early retirements. Just like we had said, I started examples where you can actually tell people you can have conversations that, you know what, I can afford to pay you, and I can afford to do without your role for the next couple of months. How about you go on an extended leave for a period? If you want to go get a job somewhere else, a contract job, you may want to do that. So temporary pay cuts, we talked about that. These people actually apply temporary pay cuts during the economic downtowns. Yes. So what are the different supports that we can actually offer to our employees? We talked about them, but these are some practical examples that we can actually apply. That's to say that for our current situation in Nigeria, you can offer transport assistance, provide staff buses. If you currently have staff buses, you're like, we have staff buses. How about increasing the routes of your staff buses? That's a financial cost to the organization, but it will really help boost the morale of your employees. Some employees will tell you that the reason I've not left this company, I've heard someone say so. The reason I've not left this company is because this staff bus. If I do interview and I ask them that, do you offer staff bus? And they're like, oh no, there's no staff bus. They most likely, because the staff bus works for them. So how about increasing the routes, or the routes the buses are going through, or increase the number of buses you're actually offering. Then you can also provide a one-off. So I was going to come to that. There are one-off payments you can actually help. So I know of a company during when the Naira scarcity was happening, they actually provide, they gave people money. They paid out a certain percentage. So it does not necessarily have to be a percentage of gross pay. It could be a percentage of basic salary. It could be a percentage of basic housing and transport. Create the variations. What can the company afford? Because whether we like it or not, sustainability of the different strategies that we have is very key. So what management wants to see from us as HR professionals is we have created variations for them. We have created options for them. Can they sustain? So if you tell an organization that we want to support our employees, let's pay 10% of their monthly gross or 20% of their monthly gross. Some organizations can conveniently afford that, maybe because business is going fine despite the economic downturn. But the truth is that, is it sustainable? For the next 5 years, can they keep paying that? And sometimes it's not even, it's clear that they cannot sustain it. And they do a one-off payment. So you can do a one-off payment transport subsidy for your organization. You can do a one-off payment economic or COLA thing. You just do a one-off, apply COLA for all your employment, a one-off payment to everybody, let everybody get that. You can also do the variations to say that we're doing 10% of basic salary, 10% of housing, 10% of transport. We want to offer or you can even do a quarterly payment for your employees to help, just to make sure that you provide support. During COVID, people did data allowance. People started paying the lunch. They started paying it in form of cash, and some people started doing airtime for all the employees rather than maybe just a particular grade level. So you can actually still provide some of those things to employees to augment. Then hybrid work arrangements, we talked about that. Implementing a hybrid work arrangement will really help to reduce the commuting, the frequency of commuting. You could also do that to also make sure that, you know, you're also reducing your overhead costs as an organization. So the company is not having to, and you know, you can make strict rules to say that 5 p.m. on the dot, 3 p.m. we're switching off all systems. So whether you like it or not, you're not going to have any lights to work with. So you get people out of the building. And at the same time, you're reducing costs for the organization. Then stipends and allowances, we talked, I think I just talked about that. Providing monthly stipends, it could be quarterly, it could be monthly, based on sustainability. Finance knows what company can afford. And just like I said, as an HR professional, create different variations, create different options. Let them pick which one can they afford, which one can they which one can they work with, which one can they sustain. It could be quarterly, it could be monthly, it could be yearly, it could be just a one-off payment that we're just paying at this point in time, looking at everything. Mental well-being support, you could offer training sessions, regular check-ins. I want to mention this. A lot of these HMO providers actually, they want to do health checks, health conversations. One thing I can just say is you could just have like a 15, 25 minutes, 30 minutes health conversations. Look at the utilization rate of your company. What health service are your employees accessing the most? Do a health talk on it. Let people talk about these things. Let professionals come and have conversation. Another health culture, major one, is healthy living. Everybody wants to live long. Everybody's talking about healthy living. Everybody's talking about losing weight. Everybody's talking about fit farm. How about just having like a 30 minutes to just say that? Let's talk about healthy living. Let's talk about the different strategies, and you know, you can streamline it to the fact that this is what you are currently experiencing. With this current economic situation, this is how you can live healthy. These are the kind of food you should eat. You should focus more on, and you have these professionals have facts to back it up. So work with your HMO providers. They're at your beck and call. They will be able to assist. Then HMOs, health cares, medical checkups. Medical checkups are available, annual checkups are available, but people don't access these service offerings. So what about creating an awareness program out of it, saying that every quarter, every month, we're going to be sending out information, reminding people to do their annual health check. I remember one organization that I work with, and the minute we're getting close to the end of the year, you'll be seeing emails. It just keeps coming in. And you know, sometimes you get random calls from different HR team members to say, have you gone for your annual health check? Sometimes they get the list from the HMO to say, what are the persons who have accessed the annual medical checkup for this particular year, and they start streamlining. You have not gone for your annual health check, go for your annual. Now it looks like added responsibility, but the truth of the matter is it's very important. The senior management, executive management, they usually need it. So some of them already at that level, they know the implication. But for people at the entry level, we're always forming work, always forming like we're busy. We don't have time for these things, but they are very, very critical. Then flexible working hours. Flexible working hours is different from hybrid work. So you can say that people can close early so that they can access, so that they can go home on time. And then, but you know, like I said, what are the different tools? There are different IT tools that you can use to measure productivity, to measure performance. How many hours has someone accessed their system? How many hours are they spending actually accessing their system? So that's very important for us to do. Okay. Salary adjustments, temporary salary adjustments. You could tell people, the truth of the matter is you can do anything right now. You actually can do anything to support your employees. You can tell someone that for the next 6 months or for the next 1 year, we're going to be paying you 30%, 10% increase in it. We are going to have a 10% increase in your pay. But like I always say, sustainability, you have to run your numbers to make sure that the company can actually afford it and sustain it. Sustaining it is very key. So for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months, or for the next 3 months, looking at how we have just experienced the fuel hike or the fuel price hike, the fuel subsidy removal, for the next 3 months to help you balance and augment the financial implications that you have. How about we do like a 10% increase in your gross salary for the next 3 months? And then after 3 months, everybody's back to normal. So, different strategies that you're going to use, just like I said, applicable to industry, applicable to organization, applicable to your current system within that organization, very critical. Encourage carpooling. I don't know, I would really like to ask this question. How many people use Uber Share? I just need a show of hands. Just 1 minute. How many people use Uber Share? How many persons have ever used Uber Share? Okay, nobody's saying anything. So clearly, I know that we as Nigerians, we are very cautious. So I see it every time I have to open my Uber app and I'm like, does anybody in this country actually make use of Uber Share? So you can encourage carpooling. I remember I started a job one time, and one of the strategies that a particular manager was using to help bring in onboard the new team members was, they were fixing them up with, you stay in Yaba. If you stay in Yaba now, can she join you? Let her join you. Ada, you stay in Surulere. Let someone else join you. Line managers started doing that to help ease the stress of commuting for their team members. And for me, it really did work. It was just a matter of, you now have to work with time of when the person is leaving. And sometimes you just see people, they've been done with work since 3 p.m. But if the person says he's leaving at 9 p.m., they'll sit down there, they'll be waiting, just because of the fact that they are not going to share that cost. So, or they are not going to take up that cost. So, yeah. So these are some of the strategies that we can apply to our different companies. Like I keep emphasizing sustainability of this strategy, because we've looked a lot about this from the employee perspective. From the employer perspective, it is about sustainability. Can we sustain this strategy? You also have to look at, depending on the current organization that you're working with, you have to look, management does not want to spend money. We all know that. So what strategy are you going to be making use of to that will not cost your company? So things like EAP, things like creating awareness programs about the different. The truth is that you find out a lot of employees don't know the benefits that they offer, that the company is offering them. So how about raising awareness about these things and helping companies know, helping employees know that you have access to this? So I think that's what we're going to call it. So do we have contributions, questions?
Oluwafemi Aluko, you can go ahead. Lola, you can go ahead. Lola, your hands are up. You can go ahead with your contributions or questions or comments.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much, Damilola, for the insightful session. My question borders around employee productivity for employees working remotely. we understand we're in the era where we say that we do not track work hours, but we track productivity. And there's also the element of trust. So I don't know how we can conveniently work around this productivity in such a way that there's no mistrust between the management and then the employees, and also open up employee productivity games, or if there are monitoring softwares you could advise, that speaks to this regard. Thank you.
So what I'll say is that the first thing I would like to say is that yes, there's softwares we can use, and I think you should work with your IT team to identify the different softwares. I hope my voice is clear. Sorry.
Yes.
So okay. So there are different softwares you can actually make use of. That's number one. Definitely work with IT. I don't have one off the top of my head to suggest to you right now, but I'm aware that there are actually softwares you can use to monitor how many hours people are actually spending on their system. But one thing you should also know is that there's always a way around every software that's great. Employees always find, especially those IT people, they always have one trick that they use that you will still not be able to get the accurate information. We all know that one. But then the major thing I would say, just like you said, to not build distrust, you have to learn to work with line managers. And I may sound like I'm not friendly, but the truth of the matter is your line managers are your key. If you're HRBP for over 200 people, how many people do you want to monitor? How many people do you actually want to monitor? So the point is that you actually have to be able to work with your line managers. Your line managers are your key. And when you make it clear to management to say that this, though, you also have to be diplomatic and strategic about it. But when you make it clear to your management that we're going to be using our line managers to work, to find out if employees, though another thing we found out is line managers cover up for employees too. I've had a couple of situations where I've had to deal with, where you find out that an employee, in the last, between 2020 and now, every organization I've worked with, we've had situations where people jackpot and they've been in the UK, they've been in Canada for 3 months at a stretch. And their line managers were aware, they did not inform HR. So you can see that there's also some level of cover up line managers do for their employees. But the truth of the matter is this: whether we like it or not, your line managers are your first point of contact. They are the ones who should be able to speak to the performance of each team member, everybody that is under them. So you have to use that, because if your management is distrusting your line, if your management is distrusting you, you have to bring it to fore that the line managers are the ones that you should distrust. So you have to there's a way you have to create a system where line managers are reporting on the performance and you are submitting that report to management. So for me, it's a matter of working with line managers, because that's the way you're not going to lose the trust of management. And another thing is trust of management. The only way you are going to win trust of management is performance. Are the numbers coming in? Are they tallying? Are the deliverables being answered? Are they being handled? That's the only way you're actually going to win the trust of management. So if you can work with line managers to drive performance, then I think you're good to go. Did I answer your question?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Oluwafemi Aluko, you have the floor.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Raise your hands, otherwise we wrap up in a few minutes from now.
Thank you very much, Soliami. And thank you, Damilola, for that awesome session. I've really learned a lot. Thank you so much. So I just have a contribution to the awesome delivery you've made. And I think 2 things that we can also do as HR professionals is to recommend 2 things. Is number 1 is the 13 months that people collect at the end of the year. You can actually break it down and give it to employees every month. So they get it every month instead of getting it at the end of the year. Also, the car allowance and all of that employees get, we could also break that down and they also get it every month. So that way their take home increases. All right, that's one. Number two also is those things that employees don't get in cash. For example, I go to the gym, you pay for my gym, and all of those things. We can also convert them to cash. That way, employees are getting more money and they're getting relief. So it's a win-win because companies are paying for these things, either you use it or not. All right, so that way employees get it, and then it's a win-win for the organization. Just thought to add that. Thank you again, Dami. Thank you, Mr. Liemi.
Thank you so much. Damilola, do you want to respond or react to that? Again, if you have questions, comments, or contributions, kindly raise your hand so that we can recognize you. Damilola, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So I agree with Femi on making sure that you convert this benefits offering. Sorry. Okay, I agree with Femi on making sure that you convert benefit offerings that don't be access to cash. However, there are two sides to it. So really, it depends on you, it depends on the organization that you work with, and it depends on your strategy. Because the reason these benefits offerings are there is so that you can use them. We call benefits in kind because employees do not have to pay their money to actually access these things. So we need to encourage employees to access them. I agree. I do agree, but definitely in situations where you're not now accessing these benefit offerings, well, maybe you can consider refunding. I know that management, a lot of organizations, they would disagree because they want to use that money. So really, but the truth of the matter is, I agree, but just like I said, what works for you, what strategy works for you. But I would say that let's try to drive people, let's raise awareness to drive people to access these benefits. Then in terms of breaking 13th month leave allowance into monthly pay, there are two sides to it as well. It's fine to break them into monthly pay. However, some people enjoy the lump sum payments. I do. I don't know about you. I like lump sum payments because I like that money. I don't know, in Yoruba, they will say Lodidi. I like that ODD. I like it when it bounces in my account and my account feels like, something has actually entered. So some companies are very strategic about their lump sum payments. They pay those lump sum payments around key resumptions for schools so that people can actually have that money to pay for their school, for children's school fees and all. They pay like December, some money. Some people pay outside of the 13th month. Some people pay other allowances. So those things are there. And then in addition to some of the things that I actually said before, or let me just finish with this point. I think that it depends on you really, but you can do a poll within your organization to ask questions. Which one would your employees prefer? That would be very good to ask, to say, do you like the lump sum payments? Do you want to continue with the lump sum payments, or do you just want us to break the money down? Gen Zs will tell you to break the money down. Millennials and Gen X and the baby boomers will tell you that they want the lump sum. But a lot of, maybe some millennials who are still very young and Gen Zs, they'll tell you to break the money down. So maybe the other option will now be asking people, which one do you want? If you want us to pay you lump sum, we can pay you lump sum, but that means more administrative work for HR. But then if you want us to pay you lump sum, there's a pay structure for if you want to pay you lump sum. If you want us to pay you, what's it called? If you want us to break it down for you to get it monthly, we'll break it down for you. So that also works. Do we have any more contributions?
Thank you so much, Damilola. I like the way you.
Okay, I have one more point to actually talk about briefly.
Okay, go ahead.
Briefly. So another thing is that December is coming. So it's not Valentine's coming. December is coming. So you actually can start coming up with different strategies for your organization. So it could be that you want to buy foodstuff for them. It could be that you want to buy rice. It could be that you want to do something outside of what you're currently doing. So I know a lot of conversations have been ongoing about is 13th month statutory Is it backed up by the law? 13 months is not backed up by the law. So it's actually an initiative. If your company chooses to follow, fine. If your company does not, fine. But then you actually should find a way of augmenting financial implications for Christmas or for December for a lot of employees. So you could come up with different strategies. Another thing you can also look at is buying food stuff. So you could come up with a strategy where people can come together to buy food stuff. I know of a company where they currently do that. They bring in food stuff from just fresh food stuff, fresh vegetables, that and in large companies, in large quantities. So they contribute money together. Just like I said, that's administrative work. But if you can find a way to anything to augment the financial situation of people and the organization, those strategies will work as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Just to add one or two things to provide, flesh and balance, sort of, to the dimensions. What we are saying is that, for me, the first thing is the employees in the organization need one form of support or the other. Discuss with them, engage with them, ask them, how can we support you? Without guaranteeing that you will necessarily provide all the kind of support. Why do we say you should ask them? Sometimes the kind of support some employees will ask for will not cause a arm and a leg. It may be something that you can afford. So don't assume upfront, ab initio, that employees are unreasonable and we only make requests that are outrageous. I agree. Some may be unreasonable. Some may make outrageous. But let people suggest to you, to the HR, to the organization, what they want. And those that you can provide, in measures that you can provide, in times that you can provide, and go ahead, engage with the organization, management, hierarchy, stakeholders, and provide this. Another thing I would like to also say is the organization too needs help. You want the employees to help you. On behalf of the organization, ask for help. Tell the employees, these are the areas where you can help us. You can be more productive. We can manage costs. We can ensure we get better returns for our investments and so on and so forth. Again, at a time like this, if we have a natural attrition, don't make it compulsory that for every exit you have to replace. Is there a way you can redistribute some of the assignments or tasks and for now step down or delay the recruitment process? Or if the role is not too critical, maybe you can use a corper and intern. Just show as HR that you are also trying to help the organization survive and to succeed at such a trying time like this. The third thing I would like to say, more or less like also a recap, picking information from Damilola and the contributions we've had tonight, is that there's nothing that is really cast in stone. Give your employees flexibility. For example, some organizations pay their leave allowance once in a year, some pay every month. Some organizations pay their housing allowance once in a year, some pay every month. Neither is good or bad, but which is meeting the need of which employee? What of if you liberalize it and say, okay, as employees, if you want your housing upfront, indicate. Those who want it every month, indicate. You can meet the needs of these two categories of people. You can even create another option that, okay, instead of every year or every month, can you now receive it quarterly? Show that you are agile, you are nimble, that you are flexible. Again, Damilola, our facilitator tonight, has said this may increase administrative work, but this may be necessary sacrifices or prices we need to pay to support the employee at this point, so that the employees can support the organization and the institution at this time. If you don't have a cooperative, you may want to set one up. What does a cooperative do? It provides a venue and opportunity for employees to save and then to get loans at low cost. You may want to invite one of maybe your banker, your HMO, and so on and so forth to come and talk about financial literacy or financial intelligence. It may shock you that even at these trying times, some people are still buying land, some people are still building houses, not because they have extra money, but because they propose things like teaching your employees how to budget, how to live within their means, how to leverage appropriately. You may also be shocked, as I wrap up, that some of our employees right now, part of their problems is part of the habits they are exhibiting. I used to have a colleague in one of my former life. The guy had an addiction with gambling. As an organization, we had to arrange for counseling to help him. If somebody is addicted to excessive gambling, no matter how much you pay that person, it may never be enough. Because in 2, 3, 4 days, they've gambled. Yeah, they may be fortunate or lucky at sometimes that they will win big money, but what about the many times they will lose big money? That means they may not be prone to theft, borrowing from other colleagues, and so on and so forth. And that cooperative, for example, may be more secure than a job where one team member can run away or escape or default in the payment plan. What we are saying is be open-minded, ask questions, engage with your colleagues internally and externally. And if you are doing anything that is working, it won't always work. So you need to also be flexible to modify, to adopt, to adapt. You can also copy and paste, or copy, modify, and then paste. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight has been phenomenal, as always. On behalf of everyone who joined this session tonight and everyone who will watch the recorded version of this session, I would like to sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate our facilitator, our resource person for tonight, Damilola Obidiran. Thank you so much for sharing. I pray that God will meet you at the point of your needs. We will have another webinar very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, good night. Bye for now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Damilola. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.